my screen. Okay.
Good evening. This is the July meeting of the Norwalk Parking Authority. And if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak, that's the first item on our agenda. We do ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes, and please keep in mind that that if there is someone that would like to speak, that we'll collect the information that you're delivering to us and discuss it and respond back if necessary at a later time. We don't consider this public presentation as an exchange or as a discussion. It's simply a time for us to take the information that you would feel we need. So with that, we can go to the first item, which is the public comment. Is there, Lillian, do you show anybody?
I do. If you would like to speak, can you please raise your hand electronically and I will unmute you. It doesn't appear that they'd like to speak, Eric. There's no in your hand, so I think you can move on.
Okay, thank you. The second item is the discussion and action on the previous meeting minutes. Is there any comments from anyone? Hearing none, then I may have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the June meeting.
Thank you, second. Thank you, Peter. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. So the engineering report, Brian, I think that's you, right?
Yes, sir. So quick update on the Yankee Doodle exterior repairs and improvement project. All the ribs have been cut and the new concrete on the exposed rebar have been filled. It looks really good. The work is now shifted to address the repairs on the perimeter of the garage. Coordinating the spaces is an ongoing collaboration. And so far it's working well. Rocky and the Laz team have been really good at getting any stored vehicles moved. We haven't really moved into a lot of the territory with some of those older storage vehicles, but you know, we're constantly in communication or sending communications out. So it's working really well so far. We also had a walkthrough this week with GL Capazzo's project manager and our representative from Desmond Associates, Ken Sugarman, and it's going well. That's pretty much the updates that I have for you this month.
Excellent, thank you.
Brian, if I can, Chairman, I just wanted to add one other thing just to keep you guys in the loop. So, as you all know, this is phase one of the, ultimately leading to the facade improvement. We did meet with THA, the designer for the facade improvements, last Friday with a page turn of the final documents, which basically just means that we went through page by page everything that would need to get done. We know that our desire was aggressive. I think given where we're seeing in some of the construction, we want to make sure that we arrive at this RFP process, cautiously. So we're looking for a base bid for some of the facade improvements and then some of the additional improvements, as an alt bid, so that we can see where we lay to get it in. But the intent is to get that final document wrapped up soon. I think he was really looking at a week or two from the comments that we made into the final document, and then out to bid, so that we see that there's a good percentage of this that could even begin in the fall. So I think people have been very responsive to how open the garage and the lower level feels, and I think what we're hearing from a lot of the Wall Street Neighborhood Association members is appreciation of seeing things happen. So I think the visual part of cutting something makes the reality that we are starting a massive undertaking here and you being responded very too well. But I just wanted to let you know, we'll keep you updated as the RFP occurs, and you obviously will approve that, and then we'll determine, what are the, recommendations we'll make for regarding financing of it.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, Jim. If no one has anything further on that, we can move to the next item. So let's move to item 4, the financial operating.
Good evening, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you. Hey, Sir.
Hi, how are you, Chairman? For the month of June, we did have a very successful month in revenue, and then also in a reduction in expense. Overall, we from comparing it from budget point of view, our revenue was we have a 2% increase in parking revenue, and overall a 10.9% total revenue increase comparing it to budget, and then a reduction in expense. And the main revenue that gave us a 2% increase from budget is on-street revenue, permit revenue, and transient all showed an increased activity and revenue, and that was offset by a reduced violation revenue, which is a positive trend. On a reduction in expense came mainly from payroll, repair and maintenance, and security service expenses. That gave us a strong fund balance of 206,000, almost 207,000 for the month of June. On a year-to-date basis, we're at a 636 fund balance, and that's mainly a reduced expense line items and an increase in revenue. From comparing it from prior month and year-to-date basis, we did see transient activity declining, but the revenue going up comparing it to prior year, and this is mainly coming from high rate values from the train station, Webster Lot, and in the East Norwalk train station parking lot revenue coming in, and the reductions are from the lower activities, dollar activity values, and on-street values. Permit activity, we're seeing a strong permit activity throughout all facilities, and just not only for the month, on a year-to-date basis also we're analyzing, and all facilities have seen an increased demand in permit and revenue as well, and we'll see that as we go into the permit section of this report. There's report for the month. Monthly revenue was up for the month, and this is due to increased demand at the South Norwalk train station garage and Webster parking lot. And also marketing and advertising did make the variance report for the month, and that's because the advertising revenue that we collect from LOT Media, we usually collect it at the end of the month, at the end of our fiscal year, so that it hit it this month, and when we budgeted flat line through the each month, and that's why there's a huge difference. But on a year to date, it is within acceptable variance. Investment income, that is a investment income that gets reported to us from the controller's office, and that hit them, when in the month of June, we did receive those numbers from the controller office, and that's why the variance is high in for the month. From operating expense, the expense line side, operating expenses were low for the month, and that's due to less supplies needed for the month. Repair and maintenance is under budget for the month, and that's because there are some expenses that did not hit our payment, so we might see a little bit of those payments being paid next month. Security services is under budget for the month. That's because due to most of the repair and replacement that happened in the month of May were paid in the month of May, so there's a big saving in security service line item. vehicle expense, we're missing 2 invoices from the mechanic that we use, and that's gonna get reported in next month. This is the full financial package, and the ones that you're seeing highlighted in different color are the ones that made it through the variance report, and that's the ones that we discussed just earlier.
So, Sirak, we're at the end of our fiscal year here, right?
That is correct, yes.
And the fund balance is very healthy to me, based on even compared to pre-COVID years, I would say, right?
That is correct, yes.
That's great. That's
Yeah,
good.
Jed, I think we tried to play, you know, a particular concern about watching expenses that through this year, to try to end with a more positive understanding that, you know, the parking authority may play a role in, you know, a parking facility associated with the Webster Street development, right? We don't know how that's gonna play out, so we wanted to make sure that we were, you know, showing a positive fund balance in the event that we did need to do performance bonds, that we had, you know, something to show that we could be there. You know, and then I think, you know, what we'll look at from this is, Brian and I will look at the fund balance, and we'll look at some of the projects that we have underway, making a recommendation to the board, whether for what we should, you know, associate with a project that needs to be done, or what will actually go into our savings account, right? Like, you know, but you know, we do need to get that back, because, you know, earlier, you know, in 2020, in the you know, height of COVID, you know, the parking authority had removed some of the funds in the reserve account to pay for the deficiency, obviously, when nobody was parking and when we weren't charging for parking.
Right.
So we tried to make this year the year that we were able to put something back in there, more substantial than we've done in the past.
Great job to city staff and Laz on that. So
Thank you.
it's really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Jed. System-wide activity overall, you know, the transient activity is down, but comparing it to last year, but the revenue is up by, you know, by 2.4%. And as I mentioned earlier, and this is due to, even though transient is down and revenue is up, is because of those high daily rate value, the daily rate locations are seeing the increase, while the leisure activity area where people are paying short-term parking are seeing the decline, and that is why revenue is up. And then, you know, transient activity, even though transient activity is down. And this is just a graph showing, you know.
And Sirak, do we also have a percentage of the revenue being up related to contractors reserving parking spaces, you know, that they take out of commission?
That is correct, Jim. When we get to the on-street side, you'll see that variance where construction guys are paying for the decline in the on-street transient activity.
Okay.
And here's the transient breakdown, how payments are being made. You know, 57% of it is, you know, credit card, you know, and then 30% in pay by cell, and combining pay by cell, text to park, and credit card. You know, it's just only 8% of it in cash and coins. So pushing hard on this just to minimize the cash handling and reduce, you know, make everyone to not everyone, but the most of our customers to go into these cashless parking or credit cards, so to reduce the cash handling. On the permit side of it, we did look into on a year-to-date basis. We went into each facility and looked at it, and we're seeing an increased activity throughout all facilities, including in revenue. So we're seeing a better trend in permit activity, managing it properly, and revenue increasing, especially on those locations that, for instance, in Haviland, where we see the decline in transient, we up our permits, so we kind of offset the loss in transient, and that is we analyzed it for the entire year, and we did good on the permit side of it. And I know Vice Chair last time asked that, to include the percentage of permit so comparing it to system revenue, and 33.6% of permit represent 33.6% of the total revenue. On-street parking. Here's where Jim, that we're noticing that the transient activity is down for the month, 11.7, but revenue was down comparing it to last year. But the June, the street, I think it was down. Even though the activity was down, revenue was up for the month on street, and that is because of the closed spaces that were happening on throughout the city. And for the month of just June, we collected about $9,200 in closed spaces for those kind of construction area. So if you look at the on-street revenue for the month, it is down. Activity is very down, and all the activity declines that we're seeing, major decline that we're seeing, the North Main, South Main Street, where most of the construction was happening, but in revenue, we were able to collect the lost revenue through the meter bag charging those construction guys. And the enforcement team and the maintenance team are, heavily involved in this, especially in the morning time, checking all the spaces in the morning while you're going around, making sure that no space is blocked off, and reporting it right away, and being able to collect that, and working with Public Works, just making sure that it's not a city project, and we were able to collect those $9,200 for the month.
Hey, Sarak, down on South Main, there's like 4 individual meters still down there, and a couple over on Monroe. Are those connected into the system, or are they just standalone?
No, they are connected. We're still getting the report, and they're included in the on-street revenue. And
yeah.
And me and Brian are looking at especially the South Main Street area, and to see how we can come up with a better payment method in those single space.
Okay.
And so, Rock, if I can ask, so what do you hear from merchants that are around where the Wall Street, the Walk Bridge construction is, like Prime, I'm going to say, because it's just a big restaurant there. It just comes to mind. I mean, I know that the revenue is up because of what the people are paying monthly to have spaces, but what do you hear that that's taking business away from them? Do you hear anything from the restaurants?
We haven't heard any complaints, Pete, but even though the on-street space are taken away, we're still seeing a huge capacity at the Haviland Deck and North Water Lot. So the off-street facilities can accommodate those blocked off spaces. So we haven't heard any major complaints from restaurants and businesses.
Okay.
Peter, I think that's a valid point of what you're talking about, and to highlight a little bit about one of the other things that Brian and I have been talking about is really looking at now that and we'll solidify this a little bit when we talk about parking operator, but now that we got the parking operator issue largely behind us, what we really want to take up is wayfinding. We understand that the Walk Bridge will be a challenge, and we know that it's going to be a challenge for a number of years, right? But what I think we owe our users is better signage that gets them to our facilities. So we want to look at where the wayfinding is. What does that look like? How does that get there? Is there what permanent things that we can get on there? I think Brian's been working very heavily on the Haviland parking deck. We wanted to for a long time. It says. It says, what is it? It says Haviland. Does it say Haviland parking?
Haviland Deck parking. Yes.
Haviland, but the average user who doesn't come here all the time it doesn't say public parking, right? Which is, I think, really what we wanted to say. Where we want to simplify it a little bit, get down to where it is, but also get you directional signage that brings you to the facilities, that gets you easier use. I think we talked about last month, the signage, the signage for Wall Street. We still have to fine tune a little bit, but we think we're closer to that. We want to replicate that's going on in Washington to make sure that it's clearer. I think that's what we owe our users, the customers, for this. But I think wayfinding will go a long way with helping to direct people to like the Haviland parking deck, which we're seeing capacity to take on. We want to get them to it faster.
And I'm also
Sounds good.
I'm also looking at digital solutions to try to get Google Maps and similar wayfinding applications that can sync up to our website to allow, a little bit easier find of where parking is available for City of Norwalk.
Thanks, Jim, Brian. Parking enforcement, comparing it to, last month, ticket issuance is up, and that is, following, this seasonal trend as beach, operation goes on full month in the month of June. Comparing it, but we did notice, a good trend where, parking violation, comparing it to prior year, is seeing a decline, even on a year-to-date basis. The concern was, the enforcement revenue was higher, all year over year. So for this year, we did finish the year, comparing it to prior year, less than what we did, prior year, and that is a positive trend. For the month of June, there were 391 citation paid from the beach operation, totaling about 45,745 for the month of June. Here, the revenue system, system-wide revenue, comparing it all in all, monthly, what we reported earlier, is 33.6% of it. Transient, 36. All these remained the same, and comparing it to prior year, the focus, especially on citation revenue, that it went down 0.05%. It's not a huge decline, but it's a positive trend, and we're monitoring that closely. This is the year-to-date collection through June. For the full year, for our fiscal year, we collected our collection agents collected 152 for this fiscal year, which is, comparing it to prior years that we list here, similar to 2017 numbers. This is the ticket versus demand analysis. For the month, the percentage went down, comparing it to prior month, and then also same time prior year. Again, this is ticket versus demand, street by street level. So far it's we're remaining at 2.6%, but on some of the major streets that we see a decline in this, if we take out the Washington Street, we're seeing a decline at 4.8 from 5.3, and that's about positive trend. Some of the high numbers that we're seeing is just not it's not that the percentage is higher, it's just less activity in those streets. That's why this percentage is sticking out. But looking at the actual number of tickets, it's just very minimal.
And let me pause there for a second, Rod, because I think I think there's a good story to tell at the Wall Street numbers too. I think some of the signage that we cleared up can really show here.
Correct. Right.
Brian, you mean going forward with new signage, or have you simplified some of the existing?
The pilot program that we did for the clearer signage that led up to the 15-minute free option, kind of what Jim was talking about a little bit ago. I think the declutter and trying to make the parking signage more clear and easier to understand, as I could see how that number reflects those changes, those positive changes that we made.
Okay.
Just adding to that, Judd, if you remember, even prior year, we updated the signs, and you can see the decline here, and with the 15 minutes and all the the improvements that we've done, I think this number going forward will show more decline. Pay by sell activity, we're still showing strong activity, but for the month, it's just a little bit down, comparing it to prior year. It represents 30.1% of transient demands. I know Vice Chair is not in this meeting, but this request came in, and so we're going to continue. I know we reported that last month, but we're going to continue reporting only on comparing it to transient demand versus system-wide demand, just to make sure that we're comparing apple to apple. And it's 30.1% of the transient demand and 29.9% of the transient revenue for the month.
So Sarak, if I could, and you probably already know what I'm going to ask. I know that Brian was looking into when he had gone to, I believe, Ohio at the conference, was maybe looking at maybe better options for pay by cell for that free 15 minutes, which is something that's not available because they whack you with, I believe, 35 cents every transaction, something like that. So are we going to revisit that a little bit? Are we trying to make that work? Because if pay by cell is increasingly happening, shouldn't those people get that free 15 minutes? If that's simple for them, and then they don't even get out of the car. They're sitting in the parking space and they're doing it all, not even getting out of the car. So anyway, just want your thoughts on that.
I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing discussion. I know Brian is, focused on having the discussion with Park Mobile, but it is, an ongoing discussion. And we're also trying to see if there's any alternative option, just outside of Park Mobile, and we'll update the board once we hear from them.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Just to add on to that, I think other vendors have other solutions that might be worth looking at and recommending. Also, I just drew a blank, but I think that oh my God, I'm going to revisit it because I just totally lost it. I'm so sorry.
Let me see if I can pick up that. So Peter, one of the things that we are looking for is, we want to offer our customers options, right? And the options may also mean who they use for our pay by cell. So we are in some conversations with the various operators, pay by phone, Park Mobile, and then we will look at what an operator option that we want to offer the people various options for paying by cell, and maybe each of those will offer a different solution. The solution, we've not been able to move Park Mobile to a solution that allows for the free 15-minute option, but we very much hear what you're saying. We are looking at other vendors, and we think the solution is going to be to offer our customers not only multiple ways to pay, but multiple ways to pay by cell.
Yeah,
there'll be something else, but I think it's a little work that we're doing. So we'll have something to present to you pretty shortly, I think.
Yeah, that's great, because security is a big thing, right? So where's the best place to get your parking? Sitting in your car with the doors locked, and then you're looking at, it's just would especially make women feel more secure, and then they hit it and they know they're good, so they don't get a ticket, and then they do their business. That would be great.
And it's been easy, right? We're seeing numbers that are pretty high for any municipality. So we're using that as an advantage to our conversations with operators on why they want to be here in Norwalk.
Absolutely.
And just to address the security issue you bring up, want to remind everybody that those Flowbird machines have a halo light that's very unique to Norwalk, and it provides just an extra sense of security to our users. And thank you, Jim, for selling that, saying what I was going to say so eloquently. I was going to say, like, now that this RFP with the parking operators winded down, it does present other opportunities that we can present for this as well.
All right. With that, this is the end of the presentation, and I just want to say thank you for the entire board member for finishing this fiscal year successfully, June 30th, 2024.
Excellent. Thank you, Siraj. So if there's no further discussion on that, we could go back to the agenda. I think we have some points to discuss. Oh yeah, old business. So Jim, do you want to, or Brian, the regulation change?
Sure, you guys see my screen again, right?
Yeah,
We see the agenda, yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. Now, where did this go? Here we go. Got it. Okay, so just a quick update on the regulation change that the commission passed last month. We ordered the updated regulation signs yesterday. The order went in yesterday. There is a 45-day lead time. I have asked the vendor if it would speed it up by sending us the order as the signs get finished, so we can start the installation. Flowbird is also teed up, and we'll be ready to upload the 15-minute free option once we get the signs installed.
excellent. Thank you. The next one I think was,
Yep.
yeah,
So
we need to discuss this. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next items that I have for the commission is a couple of discuss and vote items. One being the parking operator RFP that went out earlier this year. As the commission is aware, our parking contract with LAS was expiring. This allowed us the opportunity to realign our objectives as well as combine the separate contracts the city had with our parking operator. It also addressed the length of our future agreements, which will now be 3 years. Our relationship with Dixon Resources Unlimited helped us develop a very comprehensive RFP that we can easily use into the future. During the process, we had 4 parking firms that sent us proposals. The task of awarding the new contract was entrusted to the select committee. That committee was made up of our own chairman, Eric Rains, vice chair, Matt Seebeck, chief of staff, Tom Livingston, Commissioner Judd Alley, and our very own TMP director and assistant director, Jim Travers and Garrett Bilella, as well as director of Rexham Park, Robert Stowers. I want to thank each of you guys for the time you took to review all these proposals, because I know it was a heavy lift and a lot of responsibility. I also want to thank Sharon Connors from the city's purchasing department, who helped coordinate the RFP process, as well as our Dixon consultant, Allison Von Evers, both very helpful and made this process, it made it a very positive experience. The committee interviewed and scored each of the 4 firms, after which they narrowed the choice to 2 firms, where each of those firms were given second interviews and an opportunity to send a best and final offer. After reviewing the best and final numbers, the select committee is recommending that LAS Parking move forward with contracting. I'm looking for the commission to vote to allow TMP to move forward into contracting with LAS Parking.
Thank you, Brian. So Peter, you probably would be the one, if there's questions. Both Judd and I were in the process along with Jim and Brian. So do you have, or anybody, Judd, is there anything on the recommendation to, I guess, confirm the selection committee's decision?
I'm good. I'm pretty happy with LAS. I think everything is done well. I think the personnel are good. I think that they represent themselves well and Norwalk well. They seem to run a good ship as per the financials and everything. I'm good.
Excellent. Thank you. Judd, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
I'm very happy with the choice.
Excellent. So then, can we have a motion to, I guess, confirm the selection committee's recommended direction?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the commission approve the contract with LAS.
Okay.
Anything else I need to add to that?
No, I think that's it. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Peter. And all in favor? Aye. Excellent. Thank you. The motion carries. So welcome back again, Sarak and Laz. As you've heard, we're all very excited about the next round with you and your team.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So
So
Chairman,
next,
just for the next step, so we will, you know, well, once we have this, we will prepare the internal documents to have a contract sent to you. When that contract is executed with LAS, we already have had some preliminary conversations with leadership of LAS, and Peter, I agree with you. I think that things are good, right? I think, but what we really saw from LAS is a commitment to take it from where we are and make it better, and to make it outstanding. So, you know, so good is the bar, but great is the expectation. So we're working with them on doing a full, after award, a full audit of the system, which will then give us our working orders for what we move going forward. But our intent here is to have a state-of-the-art system at every level, from service to the products that we offer. So I think we will make sure that this is the commitment that we start to work on this year.
excellent. Thank you, Jim. So
Hey,
Brian
Jim,
Haviland Deck.
I'm sorry, Eric, if I could just, Jim said a
Oh, sure.
word that kind of struck a key. So Jim said audit. So, today it's a different world. So is there like an independent audit of what happens there with LAS?
So that's what we want to bring in is an audit of the entire system, how it's how it's functioning, how it works, what is the experience. I think we've been working with some of them with working on the customer service experience. So the audit is there, and there's a financial audit that takes place as well. So it will be a comprehensive audit of really more onto the operations, but we will continue to audit the financials, but more onto the operations and how we're there, and what are the things that we're doing that's going to exceed customer expectations and experience. I think Brian has been really committed to making people find parking more easily. I think working with restaurants on how they could put I think Brian touts Greer all the time, and I think Greer is the benchmark that we should look for our relationship with every business. Brian's worked with her to have a page on the website that says everything about parking, and she doesn't get any complaints on parking, right? And she has a very busy restaurant. Being upfront about people, we worked with someone, we looked at someone today that could help with some type of coupon and some type of, where restaurants or businesses could help to validate some of the parking that takes place. So there's a lot of different options, I think, that we could put into play that we will be there, but it'll be that audit that we want to start with the ground. Like, what's happening in these facilities today? What does the facilities look like? Are they in a state of good repair? Where do we need to go from the physical end? Where do we need to go from the operational end? Where do we need to go from the equipment end? It will be very comprehensive.
And that's all well and good. It's just the, like you said, on the ground level type of thing. I mean, it's nice today because there's very little cash involved in all this stuff today, yep, which prevents thievery, and so, but we want to make sure we're signing our names to this, is that's just totally ruled out. There's no question about that. We don't want to make the paper in that regard.
Absolutely not.
And I think that's exactly what Jim's kind of getting to, right? An operational excellence audit, just to gauge where we're at and get a roadmap to where we want to go and how to make that customer experience just try to improve on what we have now, so we can start seeing positive reviews about parking in Norwalk, and ultimately helping the businesses in the city.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Excellent. Yep, all good thoughts. So Brian Haviland Deck.
Sure. So second item is to discuss the Haviland structural repairs. We had a conditions assessment, as everyone's aware, all the commission's aware, that we did a conditions assessment completed by Desmond Ken Sugarman, that showed a total of $12 million in repairs throughout all of our parking assets. Structural repairs were identified, and last November, we brought the commission recommendations to bond $1.5 million to address the structural repairs at the Haviland Deck. The bond was approved, and now it's time to start getting the project moving. The first item that we need to be handled is the construction document package. We received a proposal from Desmond for the restoration engineering services for the improvements at the Haviland deck. This proposal includes improvements to the design development, construction documents, bidding prep and consultation, as well as contract administration. The proposal is in the amount of $75,000. We are recommending that the commission vote to approve the proposal from Desmond so we can get these documents started.
So the action we'll take is
On the
to discuss
75,000.
and vote on the 75,000. Is there any discussion from anyone? So here,
One question.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Jim, I think you in the past had talked about redoing the stairwell to the alleyway that leads to Washington Street. Is that, other than a great idea right now?
No,
So that's separate from the 1.5 that Brian is talking about. We had we allocated funding for that in the past. We're continuing to work. So we awarded that to Desmond as well. We continue to work with them on some of the things that I think, Brian, we probably would have something to show to the commission next month, right?
Yeah, I can actually put that on I'll put that on the project update part of the agenda. Yeah. Like Jim's saying, Judd, it's been the construction documents are being developed now. Ken was for the stairwell and the walkthrough. He came when we did the walkthrough at Yankee Doodle. We went over to Haviland to show him where the electric was running, so he could plan out the running for the lights that we want to propose to install in there.
So in very short, so next month you'll have we'll be able to show you some of the things, but the stairs I think are going to be a big game changer just to connect to the deck. We're very excited about that, but we're also that if we're going to make the stairs better there, we have to that the alleyway, breezeway, passageway, whatever we want to call it, is not in the greatest shape, right? So we're looking at what we can do with lighting fixtures that look more, modern versus the very almost industrial type of fixtures that are there today, right? So we will definitely have something for you next month, sir.
Great. Okay. All right. Well, on that, I'll make a motion to approve $75,000 contract with Desmond for repair specifications for the Haviland deck.
excellent. Thank you, Chad. May I have a second?
And a second.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor? Aye. Excellent. Thank you. It carries. And then I think the new business item is whether or not we'll have an August meeting. So if you are getting exhibits together, and if we do not meet in August, then you'll have a little bit more time to get all those exhibits together for the stair and the passageway. But is there discussion on whether to have an August meeting or not? In the past, we've not always had an August meeting, and but we just wanted to put it forward to everybody to see what you wanted to do.
Many of the other commissions that have August off as well, so it just went.
Eric, I think some years we've had them, some years we haven't. I'm okay.
Right.
We'll skip it this year. So
Okay, excellent. So Peter, do you have any comments, or do you want to make a motion?
No, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's call that a motion. We have a second.
I'll second that.
All right. And then all in favor? Aye. Excellent, thank you.
Eric, I lost power here for about 5 minutes. Was there some update on the regulation change that I seem to have missed, if that was discussed?
It was discussed, and yeah, Brian covered that. And Brian, you want to recap real quick?
Sure.
So Judd?
All right.
So Judd, we ordered the signs for the regulation change. Ordered them yesterday. I'm looking at a 45-day lead time. I asked the vendor to break them up into, if it speeds up them shipping to us, it'll break up the maybe make it faster to get here. And once they're here, we'll get them installed. Flowbird is aware of this, and I'm teeing them up to be able to install that 15-minute free option as soon as we get those signs up.
Okay. Last month I had asked about, if we're trying to normalize the system about the 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Where are we with that?
We voted on that last month.
Yeah, you voted on it
Right,
last
but
month in the past.
My
so-
understanding was you were gonna come back with some information, one about the post office, and is the 9 a.m. included? Because I'm not clear.
Yeah,
when I
And
or sorry, Chairman, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say it was included in the action we took.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'm a big advocate of that, and I'm happy to see it. So I'll leave it at that, Eric. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. All right, Jed. Thank you. Okay. Well, we've already voted to adjourn. So everyone have a great evening and a great rest of the month in August, and we'll see you in September.
Great. Thank you.
Eric,
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
good
Thanks.
night.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good